Pope Pius V, the reforming pontiff who defended Catholic Europe. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. See to it that the people are edified by your example, by the purity of your lives, by the moderation of your conduct, and the brilliance of your holiness. God does not ask of you mere ordinary virtue. He demands downright perfection. Pope Pius V, all the evils of the world are due to lukewarm Catholics. Pope Pius V highlights. Pope Pius V played a central role in the Catholic Counter-Reformation during the 16th century. He implemented major reforms following the Council of Trent and standardized the Roman Catholic Mass. Pius V organized the Holy League, which defeated the Ottoman Empire at the historic Battle of Lepanto in 1571. Known for his strict discipline and personal austerity, he fought corruption, nepotism, and moral decline within the Church. He excommunicated Queen Elizabeth I of England and strongly opposed the spread of Protestantism across Europe. Canonized in 1712, Pope Pius V remains one of the most influential reformers in Catholic history. Pope Pius V, born Antonio Ghisleri on the 17th of January 1504 in Bosco within the Duchy of Milan, emerged as one of the most influential and uncompromising leaders in the history of the Roman Catholic Church. Serving as Pope from 1566 until his death in 1572, Pius V became widely recognized for his deep commitment to church reform, his fierce defense of Catholic orthodoxy, and his leadership during a period of major religious and political upheaval in Europe. A Dominican friar known for strict discipline and personal holiness, Pius V guided the Catholic Church through the turbulent years of the Counter-Reformation. His papacy was marked by sweeping religious reforms, decisive political action, and a determined effort to strengthen Catholic identity at a time when Protestantism was rapidly spreading across Europe. Today, historians and theologians continue to regard him as one of the defining pontiffs of the 16th century. Antonio Ghisleri was born into a modest family in northern Italy. At the age of 14, he entered the Dominican order and adopted the religious name Michel. His early years in the order reflected the discipline and austerity that would later define his papacy. After studying theology and philosophy, Ghisleri was ordained a priest in 1528 in Genoa. He subsequently spent many years teaching in Pavia, where he gained a reputation as a gifted lecturer and a determined defender of Catholic doctrine against the growing influence of Protestant teachings. During a period when parts of the clergy were criticized for moral laxity and corruption, Ghisleri distinguished himself through personal sacrifice and rigorous spiritual devotion. He fasted frequently, devoted long hours to prayer and meditation, and traveled largely on foot. His emphasis on discipline and reform won admiration among supporters, but also created enemies within church circles resistant to change. His reputation as a defender of orthodoxy eventually led to his appointment within the Roman Inquisition, where he pursued cases of heresy with uncompromising determination. Rise through the church hierarchy. Ghislieri's rise within the church accelerated under Pope Paul IV, who valued his strict adherence to Catholic doctrine. In 1556, he was appointed Bishop of Sutri and later became Inquisitor in Milan and Lombardy. The following year, he was elevated to the rank of Cardinal and appointed Inquisitor General for Christendom. As Cardinal, Ghisleri developed a reputation for integrity and fearlessness. Unlike many church leaders of his era, he openly opposed nepotism and misuse of church resources. He notably challenged Pope Pius IV over attempts to elevate young relatives to influential positions within the church hierarchy. These actions earned him respect among reformers who believed the church required moral renewal following decades of criticism and internal decline. Following the death of Pope Pius IV in 1565, Ghisleri emerged as a leading candidate during the papal conclave. With support from influential reform-minded cardinals, including Charles Borromeo, he was elected pope on the 8th of January 1566 and took the name Pius V. Pius V assumed leadership of the Catholic Church during one of the most difficult periods in its history. Protestant movements had spread widely across Northern Europe, challenging papal authority and dividing Christian communities. Determined to restore the Church's unity and credibility, Pius V focused heavily on implementing the reforms established by the Council of Trent, the landmark council that sought to address abuses within the Church and respond to Protestant criticism. One of his most significant achievements was the standardization of the Roman Catholic liturgy. In 1570, he promulgated a revised Roman Missal, establishing a uniform form of worship throughout the Latin Church. This liturgy later became widely known as the Tridentine Mass and remained largely unchanged for nearly 4 centuries. Pius V also strengthened clerical discipline, forced residency requirements for bishops, regulated religious ceremonies, and expanded the authority of the Inquisition. His policies reflected his belief that spiritual renewal required strict obedience, doctrinal clarity, and moral discipline. Throughout his papacy, Pius V remained unwavering in his defense of Catholic theology. In 1567, he declared St. Thomas Aquinas a doctor of the Church, recognizing the theologian's enduring importance in Catholic scholarship. He also commissioned a comprehensive edition of Aquinas' works, helping to reinforce Thomistic theology as a foundation of Catholic intellectual life during the Counter-Reformation. Pius V took a particularly strong stance against Protestant movements throughout Europe. In France, he supported efforts against the Huguenots, the French Protestant movement, and opposed any compromise that he believed threatened Catholic doctrine. In England, his conflict with Queen Elizabeth I became one of the defining political-religious confrontations of his papacy. Following the establishment of the Church of England and increasing restrictions on Catholics, Pius V issued the papal bull Regnans in Excelsis in 1570. The decree formally excommunicated Elizabeth I, declared her a heretic, and released her subjects from allegiance to the English crown. The move intensified tensions between England and Rome and contributed to harsher persecution of English Catholics during Elizabeth's reign. The Ottoman threat and the Battle of Lepanto. One of the greatest external threats facing Christian Europe during the 16th century came from the expanding Ottoman Empire. Ottoman naval forces had gained dominance across much of the Mediterranean, raising fears of further invasions into Europe. Recognizing the seriousness of the threat, Pius V worked tirelessly to unite Catholic powers that had long been divided by political rivalry. Through persistent diplomacy, he succeeded in forming the Holy League, a military alliance involving Spain, Venice, and several Italian states. The alliance faced the Ottoman fleet at the Battle of Lepanto on the 7th of October 1571. In one of the most decisive naval battles in European history, led by Don John of Austria, the Christian fleet achieved a stunning victory against the Ottomans. The battle halted Ottoman expansion in the Western Mediterranean and became a symbol of Christian resistance against foreign invasion. Pius V attributed the victory to divine intervention and the intercession of the Virgin Mary. According to historical accounts, the Pope reportedly experienced a mystical awareness of the victory while in Rome before official news arrived. To commemorate the triumph, he established the Feast of Our Lady of Victory, later known as the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary. Austerity and reform in Rome. Unlike many Renaissance-era rulers known for luxury and extravagance, Pius V adopted a simple and ascetic lifestyle. Even as Pope, he continued wearing the white habit of the Dominican order and maintained strict personal discipline. He reduced spending within the papal court, dismissed entertainers, and imposed moral regulations throughout Rome. Horse racing in St. Peter's Square was prohibited, while severe penalties were introduced against blasphemy, adultery, and other offenses considered immoral. Although critics accused him of excessive severity, supporters viewed him as a necessary reformer during a time of moral crisis within the church and society. Pius V also introduced practical reforms aimed at improving conditions in Rome. He expanded charitable programs for the poor, ensured grain supplies during periods of famine, and invested in public infrastructure projects, including improvements to water and sanitation systems. These measures reflected his belief that church leadership required both spiritual and social responsibility, papal decrees, and lasting influence. Pius V issued numerous papal decrees that shaped Catholic life for generations. His reforms extended to the Roman breviary, clerical conduct, and liturgical practices. He also enacted controversial measures, including the expulsion of Jews from most papal territories except Rome and Ancona, as well as strict enforcement of religious conformity. Despite the controversies surrounding some of his policies, historians acknowledge that his leadership fundamentally reshaped the Catholic Church during a period of intense crisis. His papacy helped solidify the identity of post-Reformation Catholicism and strengthened papal authority across Europe. death and canonization. Pope Pius V died on the 1st of May 1572 after years of declining health. Reports indicate that he suffered from painful bladder stones but refused surgical treatment. Following his death, he was buried in Rome. Devotion to him grew steadily among Catholics who admired his reforms and personal holiness. The process for his canonization began in the late 17th century. He was beatified by Pope Clement X in 1672 and officially canonized by Pope Clement XI on the 22nd of May, 1712. Today, St. Pius V is remembered as a reformer, defender of Catholic doctrine, and a leader whose papacy shaped the course of European religious history. Legacy of a reforming pope. More than 4 centuries after his death, Pope Pius V continues to occupy a significant place in both religious and historical scholarship. Admirers praise his integrity, discipline, and commitment to reform during one of Christianity's most turbulent periods. His efforts to implement the Council of Trent transformed Catholic worship and governance for centuries. His role in organizing the Holy League and supporting the victory at Lepanto cemented his reputation as a defender of Christian Europe. At the same time, modern historians continue to debate aspects of his rigid policies, particularly his use of the Inquisition and uncompromising approach toward religious dissent. Nevertheless, there is broad agreement that Pius V left an enduring mark on the Catholic Church and on European history. His papacy represented a turning point in the Counter-Reformation and established reforms that continued to influence Catholic life long after his death. Through his combination of spiritual devotion, political determination, and institutional reform, Pope Pius V became one of the defining figures of the Catholic Reformation and a symbol of steadfast religious leadership in an age of profound change.